Hello, I'm Ethan, a New York-based organization development coach. And as a lot of you know, if you follow me in this channel, I've started a recent playlist where I take a look at companies right now in terms of those that are succeeding in developing cultures predicated on their people, and those that seem to be having a little bit of a challenge turning the ship in the right direction. So today I address the latter with an organization called Peloton. So this episode is a focus on Peloton, which hit a height during COVID, and seems to be struggling to right the ship, so to speak, or can Peloton spin success moving forward? So at the height of COVID, they achieved a high point in their company's 12-year history. They were founded in 2012, but with the most recent 2024 second quarter earnings reported, they're down in revenue by 6% over prior time last year and down 34% in revenue from the same period the year before. For context, over the last 5 years, they've had 3 CFOs, and they've recently terminated or shifted the head of their customer core center in Texas. The bike rental business is actually eating into their revenue sales because people are able to rent bikes versus purchasing them. So they have a slower revenue generation cycle. In 2024, the company has announced the people who use their bicycles are called members. They've announced a member challenge. Is that going to right the ship? I don't know. I don't necessarily think so, but I do know that the company has shifted focus by going after Gen Zs, and they're also pitching their tent or pitching their horses on a shift in sales focus to go more B2B with corporate wellness programs. So they're looking to tie Peloton into company wellness programs as a core shift in their approach to generating sales. It's really fascinating when we look at an organization that is now dealing with the fact that they reached their zenith after a dozen years in business during a global pandemic when people were forced to stay at home and Peloton became ubiquitous. And now they're dealing with the aftermath of people going back to relative normalcy and leaving their homes to go back to work in some capacity. But if you check in on the culture, if you look at Peloton's culture, it's really fascinating to me. They pride themselves on 5 core values. So they put their members or their customers first, which is pretty standard. I think every organization would like to claim that. They have a bias for action. That's their second value. They go far together, and that's a riff off the concept. If you want to go faster, go alone. If you want to go farther, go together. I'm not really sure how Peloton can claim that when they've just in 2023 initiated a series of 4 layoffs, and I'll address that in a moment. They empower teams of smart creative. Again, I don't know where that fits in the company's culture. It's going to have to play itself out. And they want to be a best place to work. Now, how the hell can you make that claim when you've had 4 rounds of layoffs in this past year? So most recently in October, they laid off 500 employees. Before that, in February, going back to early last year, they laid off 2,800. Then in July, they laid off 5,700. And then in August, they laid off 784. For those keeping track at home, that's roughly 4,600 employees laid off in the last year alone. And that's a big number when you talk about a company that grew over the past decade in employee size from 4,000 to 7,000. So the company, when you look at what they're doing to get a handle on their human capital audit, they've utilized this platform, this human capital platform called Office Space. And they're taking those analytics to take a look at the financial implications of their workforce and making decisions that way. But what is the company doing to actually look at its employees? So that's where I always look in my consultant practice. I always look at what an organization is doing to plug into their people. So when you take a look at the benefits that the company offers at Peloton, they really as far as diversity, they try to leverage their 8 employee resource groups. So they claim on their website that approximately 40% of their total workforce are involved in those 8 employee resource groups. Now, I got to tell you, 40% or 2 out of 5 is not a whole heck of a lot of employees being engaged. I haven't been able to come across any data about silent quitting or at Peloton employee performance and productivity as far as taking a hit after those most recent 4 rounds of layoffs this past year. But all the indicators, both financial performance and business model perspective, tells me that they're going to continue to struggle this year. And so I always ask, how is an organization going to turn itself around? You've got 3 levers, right? We've talked about this. One is strategy. Who knows if this focus, this 2-pronged approach on Gen Z and a B2B play going into corporate wellness programs, who knows if that strategy is ultimately the right course of action? We've got to do something. So the first is strategy. The second option an organization has is its operational efficiency. Well, it sounds like the company is trying to do things to get a handle on that, but in my world, I always gravitate to the third lever, the people lever. And I'm not seeing a whole lot of human capital development. What I am seeing is a company that's cutting back. That's the knee-jerk reaction most organizations have during financial hardship and downturns in their economic cycle. They lay people off. It's short-term. It's a myopic, narrow way of thinking. It satisfies the investor relations gods, but it really destroys the organization's culture. And I don't care how many Peloton celebrities they have on Dancing with the Stars. That's not the right direction to take. So it'll be interesting to see where they go. I'm going to ask you, if you like this video and you're looking for more of my assessments on companies in the news right now, please go down below, like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, as I'll be developing a lot of new videos on this playlist dedicated to organizations. And since you're here anyway, check out the Chasing the Dream podcast, where we have episodes where I speak to people who are in positions where they're looking to cultivate strong relationship cultures. Thanks a lot for taking time with us today, and good luck in your efforts to build an amazing workplace culture.